Turn up the volume, wake the crowd. F'nAround, stop the day. Rest and rage, we got something to say.
Good morning and welcome back to F'nAround in the Morning on WURE-FM. Today is Tuesday, December 17th, and I'm your co-host, Joe.
What's up, everybody? It's JJ. How's everybody doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. How about you, buddy?
Man, dude, I'm good. I'm doing super good. I know that I know you had a show planned for today, right?
Okay.
We have a whole layout of stuff that you wanted to talk about, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I was sitting downstairs and I thought of something, and it just kind of made me think, and I'm gonna kind of hijack the show slightly today.
All right.
But one thing I've noticed, right, is we do a lot of good talking on here, right, my boy? We do a lot of really good talking. We bring up some valid points, like you said this yesterday. We talk about some pretty good shit in a good way.
Yeah.
Right, where you bring like that lightheartedness to it. They're hard issues, some of these, right? So I'm sitting there thinking, and I'm like, well, the one thing we haven't done, right? We haven't really told anybody why it got to this point, right? So why do James and Joe like to get on here and talk about this stuff, right? I mean, everybody knows that, like, obviously, like, we've mentioned New Era, right?
Yep.
New Era isn't the only start of Joey's fucking hatred for corporate America. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, this is stuff that stems back quite some time, right? I mean, it's just like been a buildup of things, correct?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, it's just almost like you see the patterns and the issues and what's going on in companies, and it's like the hypocrisy like drives me insane. Absolutely drives me insane.
Not to mention the fact that you've, like, let's be real here, you've been complicit with it.
Yeah.
Up until recently, right? So,
right. I mean, yeah, I've definitely been part of the problem. I've been complicit with it. And at the same time, if it wasn't my company, I still called them out. I just was complicit with my own. I mean, look at my, the tweet to Sears. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. You even backtracked. Well, what was that? Like 10 years? Isn't that like 8 years? Yeah.
It was when the first Superman movie came out. I'm watching the fucking movie. I'm loving the movie, by the way. That Man of Steel movie with Henry Cavill.
Oh, yeah. Great movie.
Absolutely amazing. They could have built so much on that if they didn't fucking drop the ball. But the thing was, I'm watching the movie and Sears in the background of this fucking movie, blaring giant sign, I remember. Sears. I'm like, what the fuck? First thing when the movie's over, I tweet at Sears right away. I'm like, so you can't even keep your fucking name on a tower, but you can fucking advertise in like the biggest movie of the year type of thing? Like, the fuck is wrong with you?
And what is going on?
Right. And their response is like, you haven't seen The Last of Us. Just wait. And obviously the reason I bring that up is what? It was like a couple of weeks ago, my brother and I were laughing about it, and I brought it back up to repost it. Like, yeah, I guess I did hear the fucking last of you, huh?
Yeah,
like,
right. I remember the repost. I remember it. Yeah, I remember it exactly. Yeah. So obviously, like, this is something that goes back quite some time with you, right?
Yeah, big time. And there's probably a million different things that added up over time, whether it be like how the system works, how schools work, how the corporations work, but like being from a small neighborhood, like Taylor Street in Little Italy, Chicago, you get to appreciate the mom and pop atmosphere and understand that like the Walmarts, the Walgreens, those things like squeeze out those small places. Remember when we used to have Gentile's Pharmacy?
Yeah.
And now,
yeah.
So between that background and growing up in a union family, you start to appreciate like the unification of people and realizing that the power of numbers can make a difference against the corporations and the government.
So tell us a little bit about that. I want to hear a little bit more about that, because I'm not going to lie to you. That's one thing I don't know about you, Joe, right? One thing I've never talked to Joey about is Pops. I know Pops is there, right? Like, I know Pops was there. I'm not saying like he's some mysterious person.
Right.
It's just not a conversation that I've ever really necessarily had with you. But not to dive into Dad.
Right. Yeah.
What are some things that you've taken from what your dad did in the union, right?
Ruthless business for negotiation. I mean, like they put them in what the 100 most.
Hence the wanting to call out corporate America unfiltered and tell them to go fuck themselves.
Right. There's actually a book of like the 100 most influential people who shaped Chicago for the turn of the century, and he had put him in the book for his business negotiation tactics for the union.
So shit.
Yeah, that's what Tribune did it. Like the 100 most influential people, like with the Daily, the original Daily, and all that
article and post it, dude. We got to get that. Yeah, we got to check it out and let the people see it.
So like his ability to negotiate with groups, and whether it be big hotel chains, whether it be like corporate governance, whether it be like big industries coming in, was well known and documented, and he was well known for that. So because of that, it was kind of like always being able to watch the fact of he can control a room and control the people.
And did you get to, like, I know you and Ryan, like, you guys are relevantly close in age, right?
Yeah.
Relevantly close.
We're basically Irish twins.
Yeah. So did you and Ryan get to like experience a lot of this union stuff when you were younger? Like,
Oh, all the time. I mean, we literally lived in the hall as kids. Like we did.
no shit. So
Yeah.
like that was the hangout spot.
That was our hangout. We'd hang out down there. We'd play with our toys. We'd do our stuff. We were always down there. He had a gym there that we'd work out in. I mean, we lived in the hall growing up. I mean, we'd go there and hang out. I mean, we even had lessons there, or tutors come there sometimes to help us push our academic or our athletic sides. I mean, I remember at one point even learning karate in the hall.
So that's kind of what life was like, right?
Right.
Everything was like based around this union stuff. Because what union was your dad?
399. Operating engineers. It's the
engineers.
operating engineers.
And what was his role exactly? Just so the people understand.
Oh, he was the president.
No shit. So like when you watch the movie, what's that movie with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci that just came out? What is it?
Kill the Irishman. Oh, the Irishman.
So the Irishman, right? So when you watch it, and not saying your dad was like Jimmy Hoffa, right? But when you're talking about the president of a union, that's kind of what you're looking at seeing, right?
Yeah, don't forget you used to party with me and Hoffa's nephew, John.
Well, no, listen.
Yeah.
So this is, so you know what I'm saying? This is. There's some things that we're just not gonna bring up. We don't want nobody coming in. We don't want nobody tying us to Buddy. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just kidding.
May he rest in peace too, by the way.
Yeah. For people that are listening to kind of visualize, like obviously not in that time period, but Pops loved this stuff, right?
Yeah,
That's what
it was his life. It was his blood. Yep.
Yeah. And how was that at home? So how was that at the crib, dude? Like,
no, we were always a union-based family. I mean, it ingrained some values in me. Look to this day, you still won't see me getting a foreign car. Like I am still Americanized in that too. So
yeah,
some
of
these
gotta see his car. It's one of them little ones that looks like a go-kart.
I call it my Barbie car.
Look at him go, dude. Yeah.
But it ingrains in you certain values and different things to go. And I mean, yeah, obviously in business, I changed and went a whole different way, but it was always that side point. Like, I mean, look at everything we do and talk. How many times have I talked about different ways for us to get back involved with the unions and do stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. And you have mentioned that quite a lot. Yeah. So would you say right now we've talked about some good things, right? Obviously, Mom loved it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mom was fully supportive of everything, right?
Yeah, so was my brother. Okay. Our whole family is. I mean, don't forget, I still got a lot of family, cousins, and relatives in.
Yeah, dude, which we're going to listen. One of these episodes, we're going to dive into that story that you told me about how when you did that and you found out like you had more extended family all over the world and shit. Like, and people just, remember you were telling me people started reaching out to you like, hey, we're cousins.
Yeah. You met one of them, remember? You connected with him.
Yep.
He's in the union.
Yeah, so we're gonna dive into that one time, but like, so now what were the negative things though, Joe? What were the negative things?
So you got to remember, Pops died when I was 14. So yes. You at this point, I can't really think of negative because think about how many years it's been over 20 years now, 24 years. So you kind of like after the death, you really unless you have like I think everyone's life is a scale on how they remember people.
Yeah,
like the more they are, the better they are. The better you remember them. The worse they are, the worse you remember. It's how they treat you, but everyone views it differently. So over time, you start to forget the lower end of the scale and just the high end. So nice. I honestly don't remember any bad memories about the union. And honestly, it probably could be because there are none. But I'm saying from an honest point, I don't remember any bad. You know?
Well, listen, that's a fair assessment. So what I would view that as is there was a lot more good than bad. Yes. So the bad's probably just not even something that was a thought. You get what I'm saying?
And nothing was bad enough to be stuck out in memory.
Yeah, where I remember which could have been very different if Pops, like you said, didn't pass away when you were 14, right? Because you lost your father at a young age, right? How old was Ryan?
12 then.
12 then, right? So just like me and John, you guys were both relevantly young, but then, Mom kind of still kept this, we're not going to say like union president thing, but Mom still kept like this kind of like leadership role in being involved though, since then.
She's involved in everybody and everything.
Yeah, everything. Even when my family lived there, Karen was always, you know what I'm saying? Gilda and Karen were like best friends, right? Yeah. So,
and then before my mom, don't forget it was Roro and Gilda.
Yep, Roro, and then Gilda,
and Dolly. Remember Dolly? Remember Dolly?
Yes. And then remember all the old ladies, Angela's grandma. They all used to just sit out there. So Mom.
You know what? Speaking of that, you know what I'd love to get you and I got to one day find that YouTube video of them playing poker.
Oh, we definitely should.
Remember that?
We could probably get somebody to dive
I've been
into it and
looking for
find.
that. Was it the Poker Bitches or whatever it was? Or
I
remember that?
forgot the name of it. I forgot. I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Angela talks about it, dude. It's fucking so. Mom's always kind of had like this heavy involvement, right,
Right.
in everything. So
Well, you
now,
got to though. Think about it. Like how strong-headed I am and how strong-headed my brother is. You
yeah,
kind of got to
no,
step
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah, no, most definitely. You can definitely see that in you. So now we're gonna get past. Now I love that we talked about all the good, right? But
Right.
now here's where I would like to say, Joey. In work, you started kind of getting involved in a completely different aspect of business, right?
Yeah.
So you did not go down the union,
No.
all together path, right? So tell me a little bit about what that was like after. Let's talk about like St. Ignatius, obviously. So start from
So actually, it's kind of funny if you actually, when you take a step back and you look at my career path, it doesn't make sense. But if you go through the fact that it was like a steady flow, it
there.
actually makes sense. So like, I started with an internship in college. My internship, like I was doing marketing and PR for the Republican
Now, wait,
Party.
hold on. Back up a second. What at Ignatius made you want to go that route? Because I want
Oh,
to.
it wasn't. That was like my third major, and that was like after military. Like,
Jesus fucking Christ.
yeah. So when I got to my last major, it was marketing and PR, right? Marketing communication.
Okay.
So when I'm on that one, I'm doing an internship, right? And I was doing it for the Republican Party. And then one day they needed someone to do phone banks. And I picked up the phone, cold called, and lo and behold, next thing you know, I end up at a stockbroker firm because I had a good conversation with a guy on the phone. Right.
Yeah.
So
now you're there.
now I'm in a boiler room doing some
right.
stuff. From the boiler room, I ended up working with a group of people to do a startup thing, which was a daily deal industry back when coupons were big, remember?
Yeah, that was like the Groupon era.
Yep.
Right?
And I went right from there over to Groupon. From Groupon, I connected with some people like you remember with Rob's group. And I went over there and I started doing
Rob, Quay, all
yeah,
that shit.
all that. And then I got involved with all the restaurants, the bars, the ATMs, the credit cards.
That was one hell of a time. I'm telling you. Remember that no pants party we were talking
yes,
about?
I do.
People?
That was all that time.
Joey and Pops were going around Chicago picking out bar locations for bar owners and shit like that, and putting these projects together left and right. Joey and I think he mentioned his name, so I'm gonna say it. You said Rob's name, right?
Yeah, I said Rob, just Rob.
Yeah, so Rob these guys, I was a young kid partying my ass off, and I just remember being around all these older guys that were opening up all these bars and restaurants and getting involved in all these projects across Chicago, and ended up with the no pants party up north somewhere.
Yeah. So, I mean, that turned into a whole sales company doing stuff for that. And that sales turned into finance turned into lending into venture capital. And when you're in VC, what do you want to get into? With somebody with my background, your background, what would you be the natural transgression you want to get into?
As far as like what industry of VC are you talking about?
Yep. What industry
Cannabis.
would you want? Yeah, exactly. So when you look at it that way, it's just a natural, seamless flow. When you step back and look, it's like, what the hell? But when you look at the fact,
where do you think the switch was, Joe? What I want to get to, right? I want to get to where do you think you went wrong and started focusing on money before how you were doing things? Because it's obvious that was a thing.
It was probably a Groupon when I watched what they were doing to the sales team as a corporation. When I realized, like, I'm watching guys who were like evergreen employees there from the beginning with sales contracts that were evergreen and they could have probably lived off of forever, where they realized that sales of the tail
evergreen for the people.
It's a contract that never expires. So it's supposed to stay that way. And then they're going through and revoking them or increasing their quotas or changing their quotas or making it, which I get you're supposed to do, but they were trying to find triggers to remove these evergreen contracts because they didn't want to keep paying out these large sums on these sales commissions that they promised in the beginning.
And what did some of that look like?
It went from people buying multiple houses to going to they're on the phones every day again, fighting for more sales, where they basically think about you have a Rolodex of clients where all you do is hit a quota every month and you're hitting your quota and they're killing it. And they barely had to move anymore because they had these evergreen clients that they stopped counting evergreen clients towards your quota. And you had to get like brand new clients every month. But when the market's already oversaturated and growing, it was your way to squeeze the fat.
And so at the time you guys, so basically
I watched them do it I watched this massive company going public because I was there when I went public, doing all this stuff, doing all these things because they wanted to care about their bottom line. And I realized the only way I'm ever going to be in a situation where I'm not being squeezed out at the bottom line was to find my way to the top and control it myself.
So you needed to start doing some of these things though with what
to get there,
that consisted of, right? So So what was that? What was that like, though? I mean, what was that like? How did that make you feel? I mean, I understand there's been some points where Joe's made quite a bit of money, right? So I get that, right? And I understand that. But now looking back at it, right? Why would you do something like that?
Um, Probably to change it at the way end. I mean, but the problem was like I finally got to the point where I could change it, right? Finally at the end, I'm at that point where I could change it and make it a difference. And the people with me didn't want me to change it. And it's probably one of the reasons why I wasn't there. I mean, you saw Jerry was going to be the head of our sales. Remember door sales?
Yep.
I'm setting up his evergreen contracts and they're fighting with me on evergreen contracts. And they're like, no, you got to give it like 6 months and then we keep his commission. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. Like, you can't fuck
Yeah,
people
that's
up.
not
And
how this works. Yeah.
they want it like, so like in a contract, you set it up. And when you get it, you keep staying in contact with the client, right? You keep going back, you keep going back because you want your sales team happy. They're setting up from the beginning that they didn't even want to let their sales team be happy. They wanted to take it back to management, like most companies want to now, make it account management and do it. Meaning they were always prepping for a giant corporation and go public where their bottom line counted. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, no, that's not how it works. I care about my people. Because don't forget, I didn't do this myself. I did this with the whole team of my friends. Remember, I may have been the tip of the spear,
it hit home
but
for you,
right,
right?
I
So
was the
this
tip
is
of the
what
spear.
happened.
Right,
Yeah.
I'm the tip of the spear, so I'm the one fighting it through the way to get it done. But I'm bringing my team with me, and then you're trying to tell me to screw over my team, and then you go after me because I'm not going to screw over my team, and that's where you cross the line. You know what I mean? I can fight and defend my team, but if you're going to come right at me then on top of my team, then we got some issues because that means
But
I got to hit
over
back.
the years, though, let's get to some nitty gritty here, though.
Yeah.
Over the years, the team wasn't the friends, though, all the time, right?
No. Well, my friends were always there, but they couldn't be sitting at the table until I got to the point where I could be at the table.
Yeah.
So I had to make my way to the top to get to the point where I could bring them with me. And I finally got to the point, and they don't want them there because we're Southside trash. Verbatim is what I was told.
Damn. Man, so this just is a situation where, like I said, it hits home for you now, right? Because you got everybody to the table, right? And it kind of affected you a little bit differently than it would have since Groupon, right? So let's just go back, right? You start at Groupon, you start seeing that these are the things that are happening so that people could be successful, right? To break this down in the layman's terms, right? People will do things outside of the norm, let's say, right? And they will do things that are considered wrong in the name of money, right? But over the years, that stuff has just been something that you were complicit in because you needed to get to the top, right?
Which is exactly why I said, remember with politicians, everybody works their way so hard to get to the top that somewhere along the way they lose themselves because they have to play along to stay along, right? So the only issue was people like us have some type of ingrained loyalty at the bottom. So even when I got to the end, I still wasn't cutting off my friends, so when I got to the point where I could have probably lost myself and just played along to get along. I wasn't playing along to get along, which is probably why they went to attack me. But the problem is when you're going to attack someone like me, you better come smarter than I am.
Yeah, most definitely. And you better hope that he's not willing to start a whole entertainment management company just to fucking, you know what I'm saying? So,
right. Or realize a life lesson I was taught in business when I was way younger. You got a shout out for this one. MAD. I mean, you've heard it. I've said it a million times. MAD. Mutually assured destruction. If I'm going to get in bed with you, I'm always going to have a way to fuck you. Problem is, it's your job to make sure you could fuck me. It's not my job to tell you. It's your job
100%.
to make sure. But that's kind of the rules of where we're from, right? When you're doing business, you only trust someone as far as you could trust someone, so you always have a way to control it, right? So mutually assured destruction.
100%.
So if I know you're doing illegal stuff and I'm just going to mention it or have a record that I mentioned it, right?
Yeah, you're just going to listen. One thing I've learned is everybody's always just got to make sure that everybody has their own use, right? Is what I've learned, right? Because there's things that you bring to the table that other people aren't going to be able to do, and there's going to be things that other people bring to the table that you're not going to be able to do. As long as you know how to navigate that and utilize that, I think you guys are always.
It's like the stay in your lane philosophy I have. If you know you're good at something, stick with it. Like shout out to raising canes. You got one love, you stick with it, right?
Yeah,
I know what I'm.
Instead of trying to come over here and play with things and mess things up, like you see in certain examples that we've been talking about.
Anybody with a high level pedigree degree thinking they can go in any industry and do something that they've never been in.
Yes, yes, no, 100%. So now let's get to, because I mean, what I want to do is listeners to understand kind of where this comes from,
Right.
right? I know that you guys see a lot of different, different types of conversations going on, especially in cannabis, right? So that
Right.
happens, that definitely happens a lot on our show. We do pay attention a lot to cannabis laws, but you're going to start seeing some other things too. And my main thing is that listeners understand that where it's coming from.
Right.
Right? Why are we doing this? We're really not just bored. I'm telling you, I'm not. That's not the case. We're not just bored sitting here trying to find something to do, right? So there's a method to our madness and why we're doing this, and we really want listeners to understand that's an important thing. So now, Joe, let's get to what are you doing to change it now? Tell the listeners a little bit about different projects that you have since put together. Start at about 312 All's conception, right?
Right.
And tell people about some projects and people you've gotten in tune with that have, and the reason why.
So one of the biggest things that came up when we started this 312 All, and I mean, you were pushing me to do cannabis and get in cannabis, and I said I had to wait till the time was right. And one of the things we did was Canna Consigliere. It's a kind of a consulting company that we do to help cannabis companies, not only the ones that I've single-handedly was complicit in hurting or delaying licenses or hurting them financially based on the work I did in the corporation, but that need help in the industry and they don't want to be taken advantage of by, predators, people like me.
Yeah.
So it's basically a way to say, yeah, it can all be done. You just don't have to be done by a predator. So that was one of the ways we're doing to give back on that way. But the other one that was brought to my attention over and over again was it's very rare that someone that was in your position and did what you did is able to walk free without an NDA. So
yeah, because that's not, for everybody that's listening, that's not normal practices. He probably should have been NDA'd for at least 20 years, not a 7-year. Like most small ones are about 7 years, right? So
3,
just was,
2 to
3
3.
to 7. Yeah, and then you have he should have probably had a 20-year NDA.
So the fact that I wasn't shows a mass negligence and oversight, and that I wasn't tied up or tethered with anything repercussions. So as long as I speak the truth, I'm protected for my First Amendment rights. So the point was, as long as I'm able to sit there and talk about the stuff I did and that I was privy to and that I was part of, it kind of can shine some lights on these industries of the systemic issues and problems, whether it be like fraud, corruption, racism that is blatantly going on that everyone's saying is occurring, that I'm the single-handed receipt for. So doing stuff like this with you and using the 312 All media stuff that we put together, whether it's this morning show, the podcast, our social channels, and pushing it, showing it, kind of brings a light on stuff that everyone knows is existing, but nobody wants to talk about. And the main reason we realized we had to shine a light, and my situation does, is, I mean, look at Juan. Like, Juan spent, months trying to talk to media and press, newspapers, reporters, stations, politicians. Everybody turned a blind eye. Nobody wanted to run a story because it's business as usual. They've all basically said they were complicit in this and they're okay with it occurring. So sometimes you got to make your own media if the media won't talk to you.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And you know what? We're at a day and age where, a lot of people do that. So think about like when you have a cold case file, right?
Right.
This family's been dying for answers, right? What do? They take to TikTok or they take to Instagram Live, and they basically become their own media outlet to get the story out there because for whatever reason, and I'm not being specific about anything, I'm just using it because I watch a lot of that shit.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. So my wife's mother was murdered and it's still not solved. So we tend to get involved with stuff like that. Me and her like to watch that. But so so now what you're doing is your thing is listen, I don't care if I got to say I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what I did wrong, but I'm also putting you on blast, you fat fucks, AKA Governor Pritzker. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And the point is, so the best way it was approached to me and it was told to me is like, I'm using my voice to unify the people against the 1%. So I'm using the idea that
when you say people, right? So let's be specific.
The people that are the people that are
so everybody,
the employees, the workers, the people in the industry.
So we're not talking about a color. We're not saying none of that. We're talking about people in general.
The 9 to 5 people and the people that are clocking in like fucking ants are the ones that are just
the
watching
little guy,
this,
right? We're talking about the little guy.
Yep.
Okay.
Because there's more of them if they realize, like, yeah, they're making the money, but they're screwing you over, and they're basically making the
Hmm.
situation worse for you on a daily basis. You got to open your fucking eyes and realize everything they're doing, every law, every reformation, it hurts
Most
you at the
definitely.
bottom line. I mean, look,
Most
like the
definitely.
Delta 8
Yep.
stuff, they're making it so they're removing all this hemp products and things that hurt, that can basically be cheaper for you and help you, and they're trying to
Yeah.
put it all through the dispensaries where they can tax you, that, that 25 to 35% taxes on top of it, on top of the outrageous rates that the dispensary is going to add it on, because one, you're hurting the dispensary's bottom lines by going to a gas station and buying it, or buying it online, so they want to hurt everybody else.
Yeah, which we just dove into too. Also,
Yep, exactly. So that's why I was trying to make it real quick.
yeah. So that brings up some of the people. So now, who are some people that you've met and gotten in tune with since obviously when you started the conception of the podcast, right?
So I've
Who
done a
are
lot
some
of cannabis.
people that
I've
play
done
a
a lot
role
of
in this?
cannabis. Been in a lot of groups with cannabis, as you know, the Cannabis Equity Coalition,
Most
Illinois
definitely.
Coalition. We
Yep.
got to support your local weed man. I mean, we've even met industry players and people in technology and AI, like BakeBot. We worked out. We met
Yeah,
with
most
BakeBot.
definitely. Yep.
You got the genetics company. You actually have black market players they're doing. But the people reaching out, I mean, you've seen it with us. We've had apprentices reaching out, people from prison reaching out. I've had athletes reaching out. I've had musicians reaching out.
Hmm.
I've had people in real estate and development, politicians, people that want to know
Yeah.
when we're going to those industries. Because the thing is, it's not just about telling your story. It's about having somebody that's willing to take the fucking hit. And I've always
Yeah.
joked about it. You
Yeah.
saw my post about it. Like, my favorite thing to do is to stick my chin out and blow you a fucking kiss. Because the point is, I know the law. May not have graduated law school, but I've read enough books and played around,
Yeah.
going, maybe been there
Most
three,
definitely.
maybe been there 3 times, just for
Yeah.
shits and giggles. That ADHD doesn't let me focus too long to stay there, but I picked up enough knowledge here and there to, hold my own.
Hmm.
So that ability to get out there and talk and tell someone's story and talk about it, and constantly be relentless in the pursuit of pushing it out there until somebody acknowledges it.
Yeah.
It's hard to second guess and hard to stop.
Most definitely. No, I
Right.
like it. No, I mean, I think I think that what you've done over there has turned into a good situation for what you're trying to accomplish. Giving people a voice is basically what this is,
Right.
right? So let's just call it in the nutshell. Obviously, there's so much more behind this, right?
Right.
But what your goal was to give yourself a voice
For this
and
part of the act. Yes.
yeah, well, no. Let's just say originally, right, when you were talking about doing this, we were talking about being able to get yours and
Yeah.
Juan's story out there, right? But what you've seen start to happen is Joey actually got very interested, and this is from my point of view. I'm telling you, I lived it with him. I was on the phone with him daily, like all day about this.
That's
stuff
why
when
we're
he was
doing
starting.
this. We switched the phone to this.
Yeah. So what you've seen was Joey got a genuine interest in where this could go because of the people he met. So, let's start off with Sam and Ty, and, then you go into the Cannabis Coalition, and then you go into Kid Frost, and then you go into Big Za, right? And you're kind of getting this very different aspect of the spectrum from each
Right.
person, right? Because Big Za's a complete different aspect than the Cannabis Equity Coalition.
Big
right?
time. But
Yeah.
everybody's got their own point of view and a right to tell their story.
Yeah, 100%. So what you have seen is Joey has seen that it has become a genuine interest, and something that matters to him is getting people's stories out there. So that's what I could tell you I've seen, right? So
Right.
so that's why you see him and I, when we're doing this, that's why you see us calling people out and talking about these stories that we see and that we come up with, because these are the things that we know we want to get in tune with, and we want people to be able to talk about on our platform, right?
Because
So,
if you call somebody out big enough, long enough, they got to acknowledge you. And if
yeah,
the
they
people,
got to acknowledge
if the
it,
people
right?
won't unite to realize there's way more of them than there are the guys at the top, where they can actually change the game, then somebody's got to keep calling out the top until somebody realizes who watches the Watchmen.
Yeah, exactly. And that, like, that's what our team and Joey's team over there does with Prentice. They've been emailing Gavin Newsom consistently, right? So this is where Prentice gets his voice, right? Prentice can't just sit there and email Gavin Newsom himself daily, right?
No.
But we can get people involved from like, this is what Joey's thing is, right? We can get people involved, and we can get your story out there so that there's people that will email him daily. right? There's people that will post on Instagram and will post on TikTok for you, right? So once again, now we go back to there's the voice, right? So that's how we give people a voice, and that's what our goal is as far as where this came from, as how Joey wanted to get people's stories out there,
And
right?
and you got to realize though, if you look at it and you take a 30,000 square foot view and you go to the sky and be an eagle and you look down, you realize it's the same thing in every industry, every area.
Yeah,
It's a cookie cutter thing. Bringing one industry, you can just go through each industry and just highlight the same things, the same patterns, the same strings, the same threads. They do the same plays, the same maneuvers, the same legal regulatory maneuvers. They're just changing the industry and changing what regulatory groups it falls
yeah.
under. So the
Mhm.
problem is, it's just going to keep happening until somebody throws, a stick in the tire.
Yeah. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot today,
No
man. So
worries.
that wasn't. I didn't want to put you on the spot. I mean, I think it's
I was
very
excited to
important.
talk about fucking aliens, but this is good too.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. Yeah, we're gonna have to get. We're definitely gonna have to talk about these drones on the next one. You know what I'm saying?
I was looking to reference The Rock and talk
Yeah.
about all this stuff and get into the. I was
Oh,
picturing
we're gonna
Nicolas Cage.
do
I
it.
was picturing going a whole Nicolas Cage rampage.
I just really wanted the people that are tuning in, to understand where this comes from as far as on the corporate end of things, right?
Right.
And exactly what the goal is, right? I mean, it's not just getting up here and talking shit to each other and
No,
fucking calling Governor Pritzker a fat fuck.
but we do enjoy doing that.
Yeah, listen, it's never gonna stop. But that's not what it is, dude. That's not what it is. It's there's so much more meat and potatoes to that. And I want the people to know that was
No, it's a great way to go about it. I mean, and it's a great way to bring it up, like the fact that there is a lot more to this, and we plan on bringing more light to it, and
yeah.
we're trying to make sure it keeps going. I mean, you look at you, like look how you got here. Like, what's
Oh
your point
yeah.
of this?
Well, man, listen, I have had probably the craziest life that you would never expect. You would think that, being my family, who they are in Chicago, right? You would think that having that beautiful empire that my great grandparents started, you would think that having that stuff as a kid would have had such an amazing life, but that's not how shit went for me, right? I went the complete opposite way. I was, I was selling drugs. I was doing drugs. I was fucking just being an idiot, and I ended up spending most of my adult life in prison. And then when you come home and you go through the things that I've went through going in and out of jail, right? There's obviously stuff behind that we're not going to dive into today, but going through some of those things and seeing the shit that I've seen, coming home and getting a better life was the most important thing, right? So when I came home, me and I know you know this, but me and Freddie did all of our time together.
Mhm.
So we literally got off the bus at Statesville together. He came from Cook County Jail. I came from DuPage County Jail, right? So we get off the bus together. We're sitting in the bird cage. That's what they call it, the bird cage. You're sitting in a fucking cage for like 6 hours until they start processing you through the maze, right? Me and Freddie go through this whole bitch together. Then we get put behind the door. Boom, you're behind the door. Done. We're waiting for Sheridan, dude. We're going to the drug joint, right? Fucking me and Freddie get called on the same day to go to the drug joint together, right? Then we get to the drug joint together. We go to the same deck. Then we go to the same deck, and he's upstairs, I'm downstairs. So we had different day rooms, but we were able to kick it with each other.
Right.
And that was the next 3.5 years, dude, in Sheridan, right? So now you fast forward to 2019. You come home, have Santino, who was the most amazing thing in the world. I have my wife and my kid. And then you seen me, bro. I was trying to take over the world in the cannabis industry
Yep.
when I came home, bro. I even went and started to grow, got fucked out of that, right? So I started a grow situation. It was obviously a underground grow. It wasn't supposed to be there, but we were working towards getting licensing, which Joey was supposed to help us with, right? Joey was working close with us to get our licensing, and I got in tune with this gentleman named Brendan Tresh, right, who decided that he was just going to bang me out of the company I started. And if you go and look up this company, I'm not giving them the time of day here, but the logo's
We're both
mine.
familiar with that.
Yeah, The logo's mine. The podcast idea is mine. Everything. Just so everybody knows. So fuck him. Got screwed out of that. But Joey actually helped me through that, right? Joey told me, take it to the chin, dude. It's not going to happen for them the way that they think it's going to happen. Go on, do your thing, right? Then obviously we go to Fontano's, right? We all know that story. We dove into that the other day too. Get fucked out of that, right? So when Justin passed away and we moved to Georgia, Joey remembers we had Joey really working hard with us to get a deli started.
Yep.
Right. We spent 13 months, Joe?
Yeah. Don't forget, before that, we had that whole thing where we tried the transportation for you and your dad. And
no, that's a whole episode.
Yeah,
yes,
that's a whole
yes.
episode.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure they realize that
no,
there was a whole part of there where I'm running around with him and his dad working on getting him the transportation, and I had to pull the carpet out from him.
Yeah, he had to stop me. He had to.
But we'll get back to that a different episode. Yeah.
But that's another huge thing that we, you can only take so much, Joe, of getting fucked. You get what I'm saying? And getting fucked because of shit that you don't have anything to do with, right?
And I mean, taking this to the most extreme example, it's kind of like the cycle of violence. What they say, if violence is put on you, you put violence down. Like they say, if you're beat as a kid, you beat your kid. Like, not saying like that, but you know what I mean? That cycle of violence, they say, if that's what you're raised with, you just keep pushing it downhill.
I was consistently being backdoored because I couldn't do things because of my background, which we're definitely going to dive more into, because getting people that are in jail and in prison, getting people the right tools when they come home so that they can not go through what I went through, right, is going to be a big part of what we do in 2025. Joey knows that.
Oh, 100%. And it's about supporting them. And I agree. It's like look at the unions. They do that hard hats, helmets to hard hats program. Like the fact, and then they try to do the transition programs for felons. It's the idea of you have to have the ability.
This today, actually, I told them I was going to.
Okay.
So
bring it up.
Speaking of programs, right? There's this gentleman named Fred. I do not remember his last name, Joe. If you do, please put it out there. We had a beautiful call with him yesterday, dude. And this guy is, I just want to give him some props right here. Just give you guys some of his numbers, right? And I'm not going to get too sidetracked on this. This is really good shit. SAVES program. It's Restorative Justice Court, right? My boy has got the Inglewood area down to a 16% re-offend rate. Do you have any idea how good that is?
If you knew what Inglewood is, you would.
Jesus Christ. So he's got 100+ cases dismissed and expunged. Joe, you need to pat yourself on the back, my boy.
No.
That's something that you got in tune with, right? You and Brittany got in tune with this game.
Yep.
Brittany, you and Brittany got in tune with this, man, and they knew how much this prison stuff meant to me. That's why I gave the stats, right? So Brittany and Joey know how much I want to help prison reform, right? So Brittany brings this to Joe, says, "Listen, tell James I got him," basically, right? We're gonna get this rolling. And we're not going to dive too much about what we talked about, but I just wanted to give this man props for them numbers. I was in that county jail. Freddie's been in that county jail. We're familiar with the situation. Inglewood was one of the worst places. If he got that down, when he got that down to a 16% number, dude, that's amazing. So great job, you guys. Great job, and I appreciate you. But obviously, so everybody knows prison reform is big to me, right? But you go back, and it's always getting screwed over your over what you have in your past, right? So that's what always got me and gave me the hurdles that I've got. But what I can say is that for whatever reason, these past few years since I started the Chooch, because remember, I did the Chooch, right? I tried to get my own little brand rolling. I had a nice little clothing line. And I got that rolling, but then Justin passed.
Yep.
Right? So my sister lost her husband to cancer. And, we being the family that we are, the same way, that's why 312 All's the way it is. We all go. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, sis needs help. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. And Joey was there too for a lot of that. Joey actually, really devoted 13 months of his life working on getting this deli that my sister really wanted to open here in Flowery Branch, right? Obviously, deli doesn't work out because the town sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Fuck them. So, that's a whole nother thing we're going to dive into, because it just didn't even, one day Joey's going to have to really break down that situation and how we were trying to do lending, because it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Secured over 50% of the loan and we couldn't even get it. Doesn't make any sense. But this is obviously during Biden's administration, so I guess what does make sense, right? No, but
well, it would have made sense if you were his friend or his son.
Well, yeah, if I would have, no, I should have snorted crack and smoked crack with a hooker on camera, and maybe they would have.
With a questionable age.
Yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't have done that. I would have just taken the hooker.
I thought you were just trying to. I thought you were just trying to go at the same par with him.
No, I can't stoop that low. That dude's fucking weird. But so we couldn't get the loan for the deli, and I'm all about the universe. Joey will tell you that. I did a fucking design for Stunt Taylor's daughter for autism awareness, right? Which after that, me and Stunt really started, getting like a lot in tune with each other. He had always been paying attention to me, right? So me and Stunt are starting to rotate together, and then Phil, the owner of WURE, where we're broadcasting,
yep.
Phil reaches out to me and he's like, "Hey man, listen, you're meant for this shit. You need to be a manager. I'm going to put you in tune with my boy, Mr. Big Ol'," right?
Right.
Man, bro, I'm telling you, since then, it's been off to the races, my boy. Now, Mr. Big Ol' has since this time become like my brother. So, me and him are literally like that. It's like having another you or John Michael and Freddie in my life.
Right.
And then since then, the same situation has now stemmed with Stunt, right? And me, you, Stunt, Tommy, Freddie, Teresa, right? We have all these tools at that time, remember, because Anthony Michael put me in tune with Justin.
Yep.
Then Jake put me in tune with Tommy, right? So all of it was just crazy how the universe like aligned at that time, right? Because
and then you put me in touch with Mo.
Well, we're gonna get there, dude, because we have a story to explain about me. I mean, Mo's my fucking barber, just so everybody knows. Mo's my fucking barber, the greatest barber in Chicago, dude. He's a fucking barber that has a dream and dedication and devotion, so he deserves that. He deserves that recognition, right? But so it was just crazy how everything came together and everybody believed in what we were building, right? Because then you seen the relationship build with Little Chris, right? So now you have Little Chris and Freddie over there, right? You have all these people that play such a huge role in what we put together. And you know what a lot of people are telling me? A lot of people really, really admire the way we are putting a team together, because that is the most underestimated thing in this business these days. People think they can do it by themselves, or they don't need. No, you need a full-blown fucking team, dude. You're talking a whole side of offense, a whole side of defense, and special teams, bro, top to bottom. You can't just do this with a little couple people, bro. You need to build that foundation. That's why you see Paper Route, Empire. These are team members, bro. Everybody has a role. And what, Joe? What do they need to stay in?
Their fucking lane.
There you go. There you go. But why do you think there's so many lanes? Why do you think the team's so big? You get what I'm saying? So what you seen was it started coming to play, which is where you got Mo, Jalot. You get what I'm saying? Because mind you, first we were talking about making Jalot a road manager. Remember? Yeah. Look at where the fuck that went to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have Tink, who originally started off doing the marketing and publishing for everybody, right? And now look, now she's running the radio station.
Yeah.
So what you have seen is the situation has just grown, and we've all grown these really great relationships. And now you have guys like Smokey Dollars, right? Who I'm telling you right now, recorded a song in an hour with CKG, right? HB, one of the younger guys that we just met. Man, 45 minutes. Bro, this was just a rough draft. It's amazing. Wait till the people hear it.
That's
they just
awesome.
sent it to me last night. So, what you have seen is we've grown such an amazing team over here that we're able to tie this all together, right? We're able to bring that to you in F'nAround in the morning, right? We're able to do all these things, and then on top of it, we're still able to keep our purpose, which was giving people a voice,
Yeah.
right? Because these
Whether it
artists
be
need a
through
voice.
music or whether it
Yeah,
be against
there you
corporations
go.
or against big money, it's a
There you
voice that
go.
whichever way it goes.
Everybody, the problem is in the music industry, the artists are really the same exact thing as the little guy, right?
Yep.
So because they don't have a voice, they don't know what they're doing, they're getting taken advantage of, they're giving away their masters for nothing. They don't have any say so on what they do with their music, none of that shit. They don't even know what fucking publishing is, my boy.
I mean, how many of them were just on YouTube putting their music out thinking they're going to get views, not even keeping the ownership rights?
Yeah, dude, and what you see is the big guy, right? The big guy is taking advantage of these little guys and taking all their music and all their ideas, all their intellectual property, all this other shit, right? And all they're getting is a couple chains. They might get to drive around in the lease Maz. You know what I'm saying? The lease
Right.
Bentley, right? They might get to drive around in that lease bitch. They might get to go kick it at the house for rent in the hills. Have a bunch of escorts over too, dude. And listen, you might get all the drugs you want to, my boy.
But it's eventually going to run out.
And it's not yours. It's not fucking yours, my boy. But, so that was the thing with 312 All, right? To kind of give a little background on that is we wanted to make sure that we did these artists the right way and we gave them the team so that they were done correctly and accordingly and they weren't taken advantage of. Now, that doesn't mean that we're just, listen, I'm telling you right now, we ain't playing no fucking games, bro. And we don't want to deal with no bullshit either. But you gotta understand that these artists are just not educated properly these days, the same way the little guy isn't educated properly in the corporate space to know when the things are set up to take advantage of them.
Like when they're taking investments or they're taking money or they're trying to do roll-ups or
Oh,
mergers, they always get
we're
fucked.
gonna donate this to you, right? And we're gonna pass this bill down the road that realistically is gonna squeeze you the fuck out, but do it for us.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? We might give you $200,000 donation right now. They might go to the New Era might go to Canna Equity Coalition and say, hey, listen, I'm going to donate to your cause, right? But eventually down the road, something's going to happen where that donation doesn't even amount to what you lost in business because of some stupid bill that got passed.
Right. And that's kind of what ends up happening. People do short-term versus it's short-term versus long-term, right? And that's kind of the biggest issue people have. It's you think of short-term gains versus long-term losses, and then you got to go back later and realize, what the fuck did I do? But the problem is you made the decision in the beginning. If you bring enough awareness and light to the situation, you take away the ability for that short-term gain.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of what Canna Consigliere was for. It was to show people like, there's ways to get this done without selling out everything.
100%, dude. That's 100% correct. So just to kind of, because we have about 8 minutes left, right? Just to give everybody a reason, once again, why I did that, right? Why I wanted this to go this way today, right? We want to make sure that at all times our purpose is still there, right? This is going to evolve, though. And you guys are you're gonna start hearing more of our personal experiences, right? And we're gonna literally spend episodes talking about these specific personal experiences. Like I want to dive into Grubhub, dude. I'm interested in that.
You mean Groupon?
Groupon, right?
Yeah, Groupon. But I did do. But it's funny. I did do some work with Grubhub.
My bad.
There's not an industry or business I had my hands in at one point or another through finance lending or one of the projects.
Yeah, everybody's also got to remember I'm a huge fucking stoner, so I smoke a ton of fucking weed. But we're gonna dive into that because I kind of want to get specific. I want to hear about what it was like to see when that started. You get what I'm saying? Because I remember those being in the Fontanos.
Yep.
I remember them using that, and I'm curious about it. And then we're also going to dive into some more specific instances with myself, right? But we want to make sure that that you guys are enjoying. I hope that everybody that tuned in got a lot out of this, right? If anybody ever has any questions about Joey's specific story or my specific story, please, at all times, feel free to reach out. We're open books.
Definitely. We open it all up. And no matter how many times I send people to our site to tell us to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
We get louder.
It's not going to happen. I've been meeting some great people doing the work that we're doing. Like Fred, for example, can't wait to see what you guys are going to see come from that, dude. We had a really great conversation with him last night. He's doing some super amazing things. and we really want to get that out there for him. So definitely be on the lookout for stuff like that. I'll make sure that Joey, when we do a post on whatever, we'll put his
Right.
information in there.
Because that was definitely our spotlight for today.
Yeah, no, dude, definitely a great spotlight. And also, we want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Vadim Glozman, man.
Yep.
Once again, thank you for believing in us. I'm going to be diving in a lot to where that came from on this show. And he's definitely probably going to have a couple episodes coming up here in 2025.
Got to get him in.
Because, like, just to give everybody a quick rundown, Vadim is not only our sponsor, he is my friend and my attorney, right?
Yep.
He's always been my attorney. He is one of the best attorneys that I've known. And we appreciate him for everything that he's done for us, because he's played an immense role with helping get 312 All conceptually together as far as on an advice level. He's always made himself available to Joey and I to help us piece this together as best as he can. So we appreciate the fuck out of him, dude.
And you'll love this, by the way. Brittany was talking to me, and her son was talking to her the other day, and she was talking about us too. And he goes, Did you know in every movie, the time the bad guys come to the light side is the only time they win?
Yeah. Hey, son's got a very good point, and I appreciate him.
Right? I mean, if you look at look at our backgrounds. Because remember, the people who are always in the good, they won't cross the line to win. The people who are from the darkness.
God, yeah, and I have no problem. Yeah, like you said, I'm not necessarily burning myself. I've done all my time, right, for all my crimes. I don't do anything wrong no more. I am literally a square, right? I just I definitely don't have a problem letting people know the wrong that I've done to people in my life to get me to the point and to the man that you see trying to build the things that we're doing with 312 All. So.
And it's just like when I'm talking about corporations or politics, I'm just going to tell you exactly what I would do in that situation and follow the strings of stuff I would have already done.
Yes.
It's a lot easier to understand the moves when you've probably already done them.
And we also can't forget, dude, major shout out to Little Joe's, right?
Yes.
So Little Joe's has been there since the beginning of 312 All, as far as helping us piece together a lot of different ideas that we'd like to get going.
Yeah.
So we appreciate them being supportive. We've held our music videos there, getting creative.
They've supplied my co-hosts and guests with lots of liquor.
Yeah, they also are the supplier of the Malort, and I believe
Little Joe's vodka,
tequila.
Joe's vodka. Yeah, their own branded vodka.
Yeah, so huge thank you to them, and we definitely appreciate how you guys have helped us keep creativeness coming to the table. You know what I'm saying?
I've been thinking about that. That would be funny if we ever when you're back here, if we started doing the morning show behind the bar.
Oh yeah. That actually might not be a bad idea.
Right? Do it in the morning when they're not open.
People that yet, but just so everybody knows, we are currently in transition of trying to get everything more back to Chicago and Chicago based. So stay tuned for information on that. That is definitely something that we're working on getting to play. If anybody is interested in getting on the podcast, Joey does have his studio in Chicago in Little Italy. So we are more than welcome to get you guys on there. And, thank you for tuning in. Big shout out to Phil Duncan, right? Yep. Phil Duncan, Care Bear, Jeff Lee over at WURE for also believing in us and letting us be able to give you guys our stories a little bit today and get this out there. And then on top of it, supporting us also from the get-go.
Oh, completely. We appreciate everything you've done and all the opportunities you've given us and the growth that we've seen. I mean, without their support, we probably wouldn't be here.
Yes, and any feedback is always greatly appreciated, everybody. But I think we're going to wrap it up a couple minutes early today so that we're not just sitting there fucking shouting people out and shit.
Well, you sure? I mean, we could still talk about the drones and the aliens. We're supposed to get me a date with one of them. I mean, come on. I can't say you don't want me single forever. I will take one for mankind. Listen, I will take one for mankind.
We need Mike to test that first. If the aliens take Mike away, I guess we could lose him, but I can't lose you right now. So I can't let an alien steal you. So
but what if she's really pretty?
No. No, you got to go jack off. I'm sorry.
And on that note, thanks for having around in the morning. I'm Joe.
Hey, I'm JJ. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you for having around with us in the morning.
See you tomorrow morning.
All right, see you tomorrow morning.
F'nAround, start the day. Rest and rage, we got something to say. Feel the beat and energy rise. It's morning mayhem, no surprise. We're effing around, sun's up, it's true. Morning vibes just for you.
Sounds good.